And we're going to continue what we left off last time. We talk about the mathematical principles, and we talk about the concept of function. Okay, what is a function? And we talk about the truth table. And all of these concepts, they look very simple at the moment, and we're going to use them throughout the semester. Okay, so let's first thing first. Okay, I set up the course material in such a way that we're going to first handle some word problems. Okay, word problems. And I hope these word problems may interest you, because most of them are about investment. Okay, most of them are about investment. And of course, these are simplistic forms of investment. Okay, you see, one day you're gonna have a nice job, right? You make money, and then you're gonna have some money in your account, and you're gonna think, how am I gonna make my money grow, so that not only I make my money and you make the money on job, you also can keep your money and make it grow, right? So that's a relevant issue for everyone. I personally certainly is not a financial advisor of the sort, but we're just going to look at some questions from mathematical perspective, how we can use our mathematics to analyze, okay, these questions. In the special case, in the simplest cases, that we have two options. Okay, in the real world, in the marketplace, you actually have lots of options. Okay, you have so many options. So how do you analyze those situations? Okay, so let's start from the first one. Okay, let's start from the first one. So do you guys look at alpha 2 in your in the notes I sent it to you? Yes? Hello, everyone. I just copy and paste the first question in the word question part. And this should be on page number 2, page number 3 in your notes. Okay, it's a kind of investment problem, okay? I want each one of you to picture yourself to be either, you're a financial advisor yourself, or you have this much money to invest. How about that? Yes, you're gonna say, okay, I have $50,000 that I don't need, and I don't need for a long time. And then how am I going to invest this money so this money will bring more money for me? Right? Okay. Because if you simply put this money in the saving account, it's not going to earn you much of interest, right? You're not going to earn a lot more money. So if you want to make the money grow, okay, you want the money grow for you. So how do we analyze this question? How do we analyze the question? Okay. So I'm going to have a think out aloud part. Okay, the think out aloud part. How do we analyze this question? Excuse me. Okay. Suppose you have 50,000 to invest for a year, and a stock investment yields 10% per year. A bank deposit yield 4%. Mr. Lopez puts some money in each investment and wants to earn $3,200 in interest for the year. So at the end of the year, Mr. Lopez wants to have $3,200 more by making the correct distribution of his $50,000 into 2 different accounts, so he can make that kind of money. That's pretty nice, right? If you have some money in the you can set aside to invest, and you have 2 options only. Well, remember, in the real world, you have many options. Okay, so this is just one of those simple scenarios. It's just one of those simple scenarios. Okay, in this case, we're going to analyze. First of all, there's some terminologies. Okay, there's some terms we need to understand. What does it mean that the return is 4%? What does it mean the return is 4%? Oh, excuse me. What does 4% means? Could anybody say something? What does a 4% means? In particular, we can say annual interest. Most of the interest rate we're talking about there are annual interest rate. That I'm sure we don't have 4% in saving in these days. But we're just taking this as an example. What does a 4% annual interest mean? Can anybody say something? Do you understand what 4% means?
They're going to be charging you 4% interest. Mm.
Okay, so yeah, if you borrow money and the interest rate is 4%, and they're going to charge you 4% interest rate, that's, suppose you borrow $100 and they could charge 4%. So $4 will be the interest you pay in addition, in addition to when you pay back, you have to pay the interest as well. Okay, but what if you deposit money in the bank and the interest rate is 4%? What does that mean?
They give you 4%.
That's right. They give you a 4%. If it's $100, they're gonna give you $4 more in addition to your deposit, right? So at the end of the year, you're gonna get $104, right? Does everybody understand that? Okay. So then you understand what 10% means, because now we're investing money, right? So so Mr. Lopez is gonna earn interest. Mr. Lopez is gonna earn interest. Okay, but he has two accounts and he has a goal, he has a financial goal to make 3,200 at the end of the year in addition to his initial investment, right? So how should he allocate the 50,000 to the accounts, two accounts? As a result, he's going to make that $3,200. So that's the question at hand. So we don't know how much he should be investing, right? So we're going to analyze the situation. We're going to analyze the situation. Okay, so he's going to have two accounts. Okay, so we're going to draw a little picture here. There's different ways to analyze it and different diagram you can draw. And typically you would say, okay, if I have a total of 50,000, I have two accounts to allocate the money to invest. And you can use, if you use like 50,000, right? And you put it in two different accounts, one account, another account. And we don't know how much we're going to put in each account, but we know that this is going to be the 4% account. This is the 4%. Okay, and this other one will be the 10%. Why Mr. Lopez does not put all the money to the 10% account? Because obviously one option give you higher return and the other one give you lower return, but why does he put certain money in the 4%, why he puts their money in his 10% account. Why this is going to be an option, you know, he has to put a portion of his money in the highest yield. Would it be very straightforward for him just to put all 50,000 in the 10%? Could he do that? If you are in that position, do you think you might put all of the 50,000 in the 10%? I think some people might. But why Mr. Lopez doesn't do that? A different person may have different strategy, right? Because the higher return sometimes implies higher risk. If you put in the stock market, right, you could lose all of your money. The 10% is usually an approximation. Okay, it may not realize at the end of the year. Do you follow me? But a bank saving account, a 4% saving account, that's usually is a guarantee. And you have the FDIC guarantee. You have the FDIC insurance that covers that whatever amount you put in the bank is going to be, you know, you're not going to lose money. Okay. Does that make sense? So that's why when you decide to invest, you have to consider a lot of more other factors other than beyond the mathematics. Sometimes it could be politics. Sometimes it could be, you know, a world, other situation. Okay. That's beyond our control, beyond our calculation. Okay. So hypothetically, simplistically, we're really doing a very simplistic version of this kind of investment scheme. So it's only just a reference for you. Okay. So suppose that I'm going to put X dollars in the 4%. How much will be left for the 10%? Right? Suppose if I put say for example, if I put 2,000 20,000 in the 50,000, how much will be left for the 10%?
30,000.
30,000. Okay, but if I put 10,000, how much will be left for the 10%?
40K.
40K. Very good. But what if I put X dollar in the 4%? How much will be left for the other one? Can you come up with a formula for it? Can we come up with a formula for it? The total is 50,000, right? And we put 20,000 and the other account will have 30,000. You put 10,000, we'll have a 40,000 in the other account. Suppose we put X dollars in the 4%, how much will be left for the other account? Will there be a formula for it? Okay. In order for you to think of that formula, I want to give you an example. Okay. How do you weigh your pet? Do you have a pet? How do you weigh your pet? Suppose your pet is not going to stay. It's not going to stay still on the scale. What do you do? Let me check if I'm doing recording. Okay, I'm doing the recording. How are you going to weigh your cat, for example? Anybody has a pet? Anybody has a snake? Anybody has a bird as your pet? Right? Your bird is not going to stand on the scale, right? She's going to fly. Or Do you think your cat is gonna stand on your scale for enough time for you to weigh? That would be ideal, right? But how do you weigh your pet? Suppose your pet will not stand still on the scale. What do you do? What would you do? How do you weigh your pet? Yeah. A common strategy is actually you weigh you and your pet together, right? So you're going to hold your pet. Okay, you're going to hold your pet. You're first going to weigh you and the pet. And then you're going to weigh you. You're going to weigh yourself. And then you try to figure out, how do you figure out the weight of pet? Right? You guys see that? You weigh you and your pet. And so the total weight of the two of you and your pet. And then you weigh yourself. So you're going to take this money, you're going to take this amount, this weight, which you and your pet, subtracted by the weight of yourself, and you are going to get the weight of the pet. You guys follow me? So this much is a total. This is a total. And this is one part. And this is the second part. This is the other part. So do we have a formula now?
Yeah.
We have a formula now. What is your formula?
So if you're trying to put X on the 4%, the bottom should be 50K.
If you put X where?
On the 4% interest.
Okay, so if this is X, so how much you should put in for in 10%?
50,000.
50,000 only?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the formula to add to get the pets? To get your pet, the weight of your pet.
Oh, so is it 50,000 and X?
50,000 what?
And X?
What do you mean 50,000 and X?
For 10%. Since for the pet, your total should be you and the pet. Is this gonna be the same thing as
So you got the weight of
50,000?
you and your pet, and then you got your own weight. How do you figure out this formula? So this is the total, right? And this is the X, right? So this is the X. I'm going to change the color. Okay, this is X. What's the weight of your pet? It will be the total minus X, right? You can see that? Do you see that? Yeah. So what will be the formula if you have X dollars in 4%? How much you're going to invest in 10%? Would that be 50K minus X? Do you get it? Do you get the formula? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so let's summarize this. Okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Okay. To weigh your pet. Okay, I want you guys to understand this. Okay, I don't just want to give you a formula. I want you to understand this. Okay, how to weigh your pet. Your pet. Does everybody follow me? Okay, so you have your weight, you have the weight of your pet and the pet. Okay, so this is a total weight. This is a total weight. This is a total weight. You and your pet. So you hold your pet and yourself, you step on the scale. Okay, and then you're gonna weigh yourself. You're gonna weigh yourself. Your weight, right? So you're gonna step on the scale. And now from these two numbers, how do you figure out your pet's weight? How do you figure out the pet's weight?
Your weight from the pet's weight.
Sorry?
Oh, subtract your weight from the pet's weight.
Subtract your weight from the total, right?
Yeah.
So the pet's weight is going to be what? It's going to be the total weight subtract your weight, right?
Yeah.
And then how do we formulate this? How do we formulate this? Can we formulate this? Can we formulate this? Let's use some mathematical symbols to formulate this, right? This is the total. This is the total. And your weight is measured. Okay? So suppose we call your weight is what? Is X. So your weight is X. So the total weight is going to subtract what? Subtract X. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did we get our formula?
Yeah.
Right? Because you weigh you and your pet. You get that, right? So now let's look at our investment question. What is the total? Now it's not a weight, it's amount. What's the total amount?
50,000.
50,000. How much is invested in 4%?
X.
Right? So how much amount in 10% account? Does that make sense? So it will be the total amount, subtract the amount invested at the other account. Does that make sense? Does everybody follow me?
Yeah.
So do we get a formula? Does this formula make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yes? Do we see some examples? Right? If you invested 20,000 and the other account will be what? 30,000. Does that make sense? You simply take 20,000 and subtract from 50,000, right? So now we have 50,000 here. And you get the other account, the other amount, right? Do you guys see how that works? So now
Yeah.
suppose I invested in the other account, 25,000. How much will be invested in the other account? Be 50,000 minus 25,000 is going to be 25,000, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So between these two numbers, if you know one, you know the other, yeah? Because you know the total. You follow me?
Yeah.
Okay. With that said and done, okay, we understand how to weigh our pets. And next, we're gonna look at, because we're gonna use the algebraic method to figure this out. Otherwise, you'll be guessing, right? You'll be guessing, oh, 20,000 doesn't work. Does 20,000, 30,000 work? Does 25,000, 25,000 work? Does 40,000, 10,000 work? So you're going to experiment. That's going to take a lot of time. So it's kind of hit and match, but there's so many numbers you could have used. Therefore, it's not a good idea. So we use algebraic method. Okay, we use algebraic method. Okay, so we analyze it in such a way. Okay, so now I'm going to put it here. So now I'm not going to have to experiment. Right? I'm not going to have to experiment. So the total amount is 50,000 and you put it in two different accounts. And that's how we analyze it. Okay, we're using this algebraic method. So if we have X dollar in the 4% account, how much interest earned? How much interest earned at the end of the year?
$4%.
It's a 4%. 4%, but how do you find the actual amount of interest?
It's not the 3,200 or what was the number?
No, the 3,200 is a total interest earned. So you're going to earn some interest from the 4% account. Are you going to earn some interest from 10% account? How do you calculate the interest amount? You take the interest rate, multiply the invested amount, the principal. For example, in the bank, okay, if you deposited $100 at 4%, how does the bank compute how much interest you get? The bank will take 4%, multiply by 100. And 4% is 0.04, and they multiply by 100. So in the end, you have $4. Yes, do you see that? But if someone else deposited not $100, $2,500, what do? What does the bank do to calculate? Oh, this number is going to be 2,500. So this makes a formula. Do you guys see that? This makes a formula. So this is going to be 2,500. And that interest earned is going to be $100. So this ensures that if you deposit any amount, suppose I deposit $75.56 at 4%. How much interest will I earn? I will just multiply by that. Do you follow me? Oh no, that's wrong. Okay, this software is weird. I have to keep an eye on it. Okay, so this is 75.56. Okay, you guys follow me? The power of this formula, this is the formula the bank uses if you deposit in a CD account. Okay, if you deposit X amount at 4%, how much interest you're gonna earn? The interest earned is you just take the X dollar and multiply 4%. 4% multiply the X dollar. So 0.04 times X. Do you guys follow me? That we have just derived a formula. Do you follow me? Sometimes the interest may be calculated monthly. Okay, that's a different topics. Okay, we're not doing that yet. We're not doing that. They calculate interest for you only at the end of the year. Got it? So now, among the $50,000, we have two options. One is 4% and the other is 10%. So that's why the interest earned at the end of the year is 4% multiplied by X. Now tell me, what is the interest earned from the 10% account? This account seems to be more exciting, right? Because the rate is higher. So how much is earned in this account? Can you guys write it down, the formula? We're doing algebra, right? We're doing things symbolically. Any questions so far? Is this too abstract?
Did you want us to say it, or
Yeah, you can type it or say it.
50,000 minus X times 10%?
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so you're gonna take 10%, multiply, we need to put a parentheses there, 50,000 minus X. In this process, I want you guys to see something that's, you can see we have numbers, right? Numbers has meanings. When you multiply different numbers, the result is going to acquire different meanings. For example, in this case, 4% is interest rate. X is the principal amount. Okay, so I'm gonna demonstrate to you numbers and numbers, they're not the same. Even the same numbers under the same circumstances, or under different circumstances, they could mean different things. 4%, right? 4% multiply X, right? Each quantity in this expression, okay, I want you guys to learn these names, okay? So this is your mathematical vocabulary, okay? This is your mathematical vocabulary. The 4% has a meaning. That's annual interest rate. Can you write it down for me? The 4% is annual interest rate. The X is called a principal. Okay, hold on, let me just close the door. Principal, it's called principal. You put a certain amount at a certain rate, that's called a principal. Have you guys heard of principal? Some of your parents might be doing refinancing of their houses or the houses you live in with your parents. And in last year and this year has been a good time to refi, right? There's a word that they call principal, right? Principal. Annual interest principal. If the principal is what you put in the bank for deposit, that's your principal. Sometimes, of course, you borrow money from the bank. That is called a principal as well. But in our situation, we're talking about you putting money in the bank. Do you follow me? So this number has a meaning, and this other number has a meaning. But when you multiply these two numbers, it will acquire a new meaning. What is a new meaning? It's called interest. Interest amount. Okay, it has a dollar sign attached to it. This one, the principal also has a dollar sign attached to it. The annual interest rate does not have a dollar sign attached to it. You guys follow me? Annual interest rate, principal. When you multiply these two numbers, it has a new meaning. It's called interest. Interest for short. I want you guys to write this down. Make sure you understand. These are the vocabulary in mathematics or in your daily life. Okay, these terms actually is used in your daily life. Okay, if you go to a bank and they probably tell you you have 50,000, that's your principal. Okay, the interest rate is such and such. Okay. Did you write it down? Could you please write it down? So what I'm trying to say is not all the numbers have the same meaning. In fact, a lot of numbers have different categories. It's like apple and orange. Okay. Annual interest rate is one category. Okay. Their examples could be 3%, 5%, right? Percentage. None of them have dollar sign attached to it. No dollar sign attached to it. 3.5%, right? Let me show you some percentage. Okay, like 2.75%, right? 1.125%. All of these numbers, they're percentages. They are in the same category if they're called annual interest rate. Percentage is only comparable with percentage. If you compare rate, you compare interest rate, that's what you compare. Can you compare interest rate with principal? No, they are not comparable. They're not the same category. Right? Suppose you have a 50,000 and the interest rate is 3%. How do you compare these two numbers? They're not the same category. It's like you compare apple with orange. Interest is another category. So in this simple multiplication, we have three categories of numbers. They each in their own category. So you have three folders. Do you follow me? You have three folders. They're not the same kind of number. So you don't compare them. Do you follow me? And it's the meaning I emphasize. It's the meaning I will be quizzing you guys on. I will quiz you. Your quizzes will be involved these meanings. If you understand the meaning, you understand the question. If you don't understand the meaning, you forever find it frustrating with word problems. So any questions so far? Okay, it's very important to understand these meanings, okay? Percentage, principal, and the product of two numbers of different meanings, when you put them together in multiplication, they will acquire, the final number will acquire a new meaning. That's what I'm emphasizing here. Okay, so now let's look at the following. What can you make of this? 10% multiply 50,000 minus X. Okay, I want to give you I want to give you an exercise. Please practice on this guy. Okay. I want you to mark the same way I marked the 4% times X, and to put down the word in your notebook, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. The meaning of 10%. Okay. The meaning of the parentheses. Excuse me. The meaning of the parentheses. And the meaning of the product. Okay, I'm going to say the meaning, new meaning. Okay, product. Product, you multiply one with the other. So I want you guys to mark all these three. Are you doing it? 10% has a meaning. Annual interest. 50,000 minus X, that whole thing in parentheses has another meaning. When we multiply, the product has another meaning. Are you good? Okay. Have you written down annual interest rate? No dollar sign attached to it. Okay. And this quantity is the principal amount. Okay. That has a dollar sign attached to it. The product, which is the interest rate, multiply principal, it acquire a new meaning, is called interest. If you have done all that and you understand what you're doing, oh gosh. Annual interest rate. I meant for it to be in a box. Okay. Annual interest rate. And this is the, sorry about that. Principal has a dollar sign. Interest will have a dollar sign. Okay, so I'm gonna use that one. Remove that. interest. Okay, in this case, it's the interest amount. We just call it short with interest. Is everybody with me?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so now we understand all these terminologies, right? So we know that this has a name. This is the interest. And this is the interest, right? And these are principals. X are principals. Do you follow me? So now let's look at the question itself. It says, if Mr. Lopez put some money in each investment and wants to earn $3,200 in interest for the year. So both account produces interest for us, right? And the total interest is going to be 3,200. So how do we make that 3,200? We earn some interest from here, from the 4% account. And we also earn some interest from the other account. Right? So this is the interest, and that is the interest. So when you guys read this, okay, I want you guys to think of interest instead of getting the details of the number. These two quantities, they're both apples, right? Interest earned. You see, they're both interest earned. The interest earned, we can add them, subtract them, not multiplying them. Okay, so we're gonna add them, and that's the total interest earned for the year for Mr. Lopez. And that is the equation. Do you guys follow me? That is the equation. Of course, I'm going to answer the question, how do I show work? Do I have to show all of these? I will get there. Does everybody follow me right now? Total is 50,000. X amount in 4%, and 50,000 minus X will be the principal in the other account. Interest earned, interest earned. Interest plus interest equals to interest. Do you follow me? Apple plus apple is apple. Okay. Does everybody follow? So this is the think out aloud part. Okay, of course, we're going to solve the equation and all of that. Okay, but I'm going to show you how you show your work. Another way to analyze is to organize the information. Before I give you a shorter version of how to show work, is the following. It's using the table form. You're using the table form. Okay, so another way to analyze. Another way to analyze. The other way to analyze is this. Okay. We have account. We have two accounts. We have two accounts. This is more commonly seen in textbook. Okay. So the account could be 4%. And the other account is 10%. Sorry, I have to change between the modes, okay? Math mode and text mode, okay? So one account is 10%, and the other account is 4%. Amount, I'm gonna use principal. Okay, principal certainly is in dollar amount. Okay, you guys need to be careful. We're talking about three quantities that have three meanings. Okay, 4% we put X, and the other account has what? 50,000 minus X. Interest. How much interest is earned at 4%? It's 4% multiply X. And the other one is 10% multiply the principal. And we don't need these anymore, right? The last row, I'm going to use it for total. We have two totals. One total is 50,000. And the other total is a total interest. You see, they are in each of their category. Do you follow me, you guys? There's a lot of information in this part of the lecture. Does everybody follow?
Yes.
Good. Okay, you can see the different ways. This latter way is more commonly adopted by textbook. Okay, and this earlier way I put in here is more, some people like to use the scratch paper to scratch things up. Okay, to scratch things up. The table looks more organized. But if you look at the table, I want you guys to understand. You can see how the table is made. This column has the meaning of principal. So X is a principal, 50,000 minus X is principal, 50,000 is principal. So all three quantities, they are the same category. Interest, and it certainly has a dollar sign attached to it. So this quantity is interest. This quantity is also interest. And 3,200 is also interest. This guarantee you have apple with apple, orange with orange. Account, you have 4%, you have 10%. And the last row has a different meaning, is total of something, total of principal, total of interest. Do you guys follow me? So when you look at that table, you have to understand how that table is made. So far, so good?
Yes.
So next, I'm going to show you, of course, we still haven't solved the equation yet. And is to answer many of you question is that if I do such a word problem, how much work do I need to show? Okay, I will give you a final version at the very end, but right now, I'm going to give you the beginning. Okay, so suppose your teacher asks you to do this question. Okay, and we got the equation already, right? And you don't need to write all of these. You don't need to write all of these. All of these is we call it thinking out loud. You should do it in your scratch paper. Do you follow me? I don't need to see that. Most of you professors don't need to see that. If you want to do the kind of work, nice, clean, and short, and getting all the points, you organize your work. Okay, this is the big thing to be successful in mathematics. A lot of people come to us and they say, I understand everything, but how come I lose the points here and there? Because he or she doesn't know how to show work. So this semester, I will show you the work that will guarantee you to get all the points you want. Because I will tell you how I give you points. Okay, so all of my points giving activities is going to be transparent. You know how I give points, how I take away points. How many points I'm going to give, how many points I'm going to take away for each important steps. Okay, so I'm going to make that very clear. So whenever it is not clear to you, you ask me. I will clarify that for you. Okay, so this much is called thinking out loud, or I call a scratch paper work. You don't need to turn it in. Your professor don't need to see it. Your professors in 4-year school, they don't need to see that. They don't have time to see this. They want to see a nice piece of work, okay? And typically they will have a answer key. They give points to everybody according to the answer key. There are variations of answer key, and there are variations. But everything you put on the paper is accounted for. Okay, if you make a mess, you may lose points for it, right? So you only want to show your best work. I keep telling my student, right? What work you show? You show your best work. You need, as a student, you need to commit yourself. You trust me, I was a student before. Okay, I was a student for many, many years. What ensure your success is you always show your best work. Not any work, because sometimes any work it could be a mess. Okay, so now without further ado, okay, I will always copy the question. Some people ask me, do I need to copy the question? I often have this question, asked to me. To me, that should not be a question. You should copy your question all the time. Why? It's for your benefit. It's for us as students, for our benefit, because when you write it down, you see more details. If you just read it, right? When you do word problem, you should read it at least 3 times and write it down. It's the best way to make sure you don't miss anything. So for that reason, okay, as I told you, as a student, I was a very slow learner, right? I struggle a lot in mathematics, but I work hard. This is what I expected of you, right? Because every one of you admit that you are not that a mathematical genius, right? In fact, if you are the mathematical genius, I'm actually intimidated to have you in my class. You may be too smart for me. Okay, so I always copy the question so I don't miss anything. So copy a question should not be a question. Copy the question to your notebook when you do your homework. Just do it. Trust me, just do it. Okay, so solution. Okay, this is the work I'm going to turn to my professor, okay? This is the work I'm going to turn to my professor. Before solving, okay? For solving, we're gonna have options. I'll show you some different options, but I will give you a final version, I promise you. Until you have no ambiguity, what is expected of you? And how you get those points, how you get all the points. Because this semester, you're not only going to have quizzes that with multiple choices, you also have quizzes, you need to write it down. You need to write down the answer. Okay? And I will be grading and checking your work and your steps. All right, without further ado, I will say, let X be the amount invested in the 4% account. Thus, 50,000 minus X is the amount invested in the 10% account. You guys follow me? I expect you to write it down. Okay, so you should have paper, scratch paper, your notebook in front of you. Okay, you should use your papers generously. Generously. Don't have them all squished together. For example, the scratch work paper, the scratch work you just wrote down you should have a new page. You should have a new page to write this down. What I'm telling you is how I survived my student years, how I did it. Some people say, oh, what if I write this? I have 5 less words. I have, I save some words and stuff. When I see your work, I will look at the context and I will decide. But I guarantee the work I show you is 100%. The best work I can give you. Okay, I give you my best. But if you choose to do 50% of the best work, then you're gonna get 50% of the points. Okay, if you choose to do 80% of your work, which is 80% of the work I show you, then you're gonna get 80% of the points. So the choice is yours. The bottom line is that you need to be absolutely clear to your professor, to your teacher, who are going to dispense points for you. So you have every incentive to show your best work, don't you? You follow me? The good news is that in my classes, in all the classes I've taught, okay, in the past 20 plus years, more than many years, more than 20 years, I always have students in my class who do their ultimate best. They will do that 100% for me. And I will reward them with 100% of points. Do you want to be that person? And I always have those person. In fact, I want all of you to be those persons. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. Okay, because the criteria I use to grade everybody's work is going to be the same. And I'm showing you. Okay, so let X be the amount invested in the 4% account. 50,000 minus X is the amount invested in the 10% account. Okay, and you can attach a table. You can attach this table, okay, to help the reader. That is the equation, and then you give the equation. Then you give this equation. You don't need the boxes. You give the equation. Okay, so let me tell you how many points I give on these. Okay, these 2 sentences. Okay. 2 points. In other words, if you don't have these 2 sentences, you don't get 2 points. And you put these 2 sentences in that order. Because you're going to use X in your equation. You should tell me what the meaning of X before that equation. Do you follow me? So just like you write essay, you just write your English essay. Okay, you write essay to apply to college, right? You use a, suppose you use some shorthand notation. Then you better specify that shorthand notation beforehand so the reader can understand you. And this is the same thing. Sometimes I found students, they specify the variables after the equation. or toward the end of the equation, toward the end of the question. That's not the best you can do. Okay, so just like you write your English essay, even though in mathematics, you can use a lot of shorthand notation, but it doesn't give you reason not to organize your work well. Okay, so this is a very important training. So I have shown you the first half of the work. Okay, and next we're solving the equation. Okay, so this is 2 points. This table, I will consider that optional. This table is optional. Optional, but it can be useful for you in case that you messed up, right? The table may give you some, opportunities to earn partial credit. But I consider this equation will earn you 5 points. You follow me? I will be using these rubrics to grade your work, your written work. For the word problem, you're gonna have a quiz, written quiz. You're gonna have a written quiz. You're gonna have multiple choice questions, and you're gonna have written questions you need to answer, okay? I think this week you're gonna get 2 quizzes. You're gonna get 2 quizzes. One is a multiple choice one, and the other one is a written one.
Do we have to show our work in the
Yes,
written portion?
written. You have a written quiz. You need to show your work. That's what I meant. And I'm telling you exactly how I grade your quiz and how I'm giving points. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. So the equation is set up. So by this time, you see, you can do a lot of things, but you must organize your work so that you can tell me I've done the best work I can. Okay. So I'm asking you to show your best work. Okay, we're gonna take a break, but I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm gonna ask you to show your best work. That's all I ask of you. Take a break, 10 minutes, we'll come back. We're gonna solve the equation. Okay, we're gonna solve the equation. All right, how was my singing?
I love it.
You see, I love to sing, but I'm not terribly good, okay? But that's all I ask of you, okay? So let's pause for a little bit and come back, and I will show you how to solve the equation. Okay, so come back in 10 minutes. Okay, so the first part, we set up the equation. That's a very important step. You can see that there are a total of 7 points can be earned, right? The total of 7 points. In the process, you need to understand a lot of things, okay? You need to understand percentage multiply principal equals to interest, right? So that part we talk about, right? 3 numbers, right? Where is it? Where is it? Did I lose it? Did I lose it somewhere? No, here, right here, right? Interest rate multiply principal. The product, these 2 multiply, it give a new meaning. So you need to understand all 3, okay? You have a quiz for it, okay? You're gonna have a quiz for it. All right, and you're gonna have 2 quizzes this week. I already have my plan, okay? Now, solving the equation, okay? Solving the equation, there are multiple ways to solve the equation, okay? So I want you to put this in one piece of paper, and we're gonna go back to the scratch paper. And then finally, I will give you a final summary. I'll give you a final summary, okay? So next, we're gonna talk about solving the equation. So I'm still gonna put it over here. Solving the equation. Okay, so the equation we're solving is this one. Typically, we have people coming with different ways of solving the equation. And I have to tell you, there are more than one way to solve this equation. Okay, so I have my favorite way. But if you don't do it in my favorite way and you got it right, and I should give you all the credit. You agree? Right? But as a student, I have my favorite way, and you may have your favorite way. So all of these ways, if you have different ways, you can just, come forward, right? And I don't require you to say, oh, you have to use my way, either my way or highway. No, I'm not that kind of teacher. Okay? Because doing algebra, there's so many ways to do algebra. For one question, you have different ways to do it. And every way should be honored. If it is correct. If it is correct. Okay, that's what I believe. Now, so every point I take away from you, I will have an explanation. Okay, I will never take your points randomly without any reason. So now, solving the equation, I'm going to show you my favorite way. I'm pretty certain that my favorite way is not your way. But that's okay. That's okay. My favorite way is actually using fraction. Okay. A lot of our students are not very good at using fraction. But you really do need to get over it. You really do need to get over that fraction. Trust me. One day you start to buy a new car, or you take a car loan, or another day, or maybe 5 years down the road, you're going to buy your own property. You are going to love fraction. Okay. Interest rate with fractions, okay, with a smaller number is better, right? If you take a loan. Interest rate with bigger numbers, when you deposit or you invest. Make sense? So fraction should be your friend, not your enemy. Okay, so I like to use a fraction. So I'm going to show you my favorite way to do it. My favorite way to do it is that I understand 4% is the same as 4 over 100. 10% is the same as 10 over 100. Okay? This is on my scratch paper. As far as how I show my work, that I will show you that version as well. Okay. So 4% is the same as 4 over 100. 10% is 10 over 100. So what I would do next, okay, remember I'm still on my scratch paper. I'm going to multiply 100 on both sides. I'm going to multiply 100 on both sides. Can you tell me what principle am I using? We learned 6 principles, right? What principle am I using? What is the principle I'm using? If A is the same as B. Equation is an if statement. Then A times C is the same as B times C, where C cannot be 0. This is the principle I'm using, and I want you to reflect on it. You follow me? principle number 4. Principle number 4. Do you have that on your flashcard? If A is the same as B, then A times C is B times C, provided that C cannot be 0. We have done a lot of explanations on that. And we multiply, our C here is 100. Okay, so that's the principle that support our steps. And of course, there's the mathematics we need to do. Okay, so this 100 is distributed to everything inside the bracket. Okay, so this term get to multiply 100, and this term we get also to apply to multiply 100. And the right-hand side is also multiplied by 100. Does everybody follow me? Yes? And now I can do some reduction. I can do some reducing. This 100 and this 100 reduced. This 100 and this 100 reduced. What do I get? The next step, I will get 4 times x plus 10 times 50,000 minus x. On the other side, I'm going to get 3,200 plus 320 followed by 3 zeros. Make sure you don't miss any count, okay? I think we have a total of 4 zeros out there. You follow me? This is still considered scratch paper work. I will show you my version of it. You don't have to show everything here, but you can just, you need to know everything. You need to know everything. Do you guys follow me?
Yes.
Okay. And now I will distribute the 10 to the parentheses. So I have 4x outside and plus 10 times 50,000 will be 500,000, right? 500,000 minus 10x. And that equals to 320,000. Am I good? Okay. And then 4x and negative 10x, that will make negative 6x. Negative 6x. Plus 500,000. On the other side is 320,000. The reason you can see that I use fraction, that way I don't have to deal with decimal. I don't have to deal with decimal. And next, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to move the negative 6x to the other side and subtracting 320,000. Okay, so next step I will have 500,000 minus 320,000 equals to 6x. And of course, I'm going to operate on that number. What does that number give me? What does that difference? What is that difference? Right? Oh, it doesn't read those numbers. Okay, so I use my lazy ways because I have, so there's a 1.8 followed by 1, 2, 3, 4. 180,000. You agree? Got 180,000 There's so many ways to do algebra. I know it's hard to read someone else's algebra. It's very hard to read someone else's algebra, especially this may not be your favorite way. Okay, so doing it yourself is a good thing. It's a good thing. Okay, so when I do these, I expect you to have a piece of paper. You need to write it down so you can follow me. Do you agree? And last but not least, I'm going to divide both sides by 6. So I will get x equals to 30,000. Do you follow me?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's so many steps I have shown here on my scratch paper. How am I going to show in the other piece of paper I'm showing to my teacher? I'm sorry. Let's see. How am I going to show my work to my teacher? Right. So I'm going to move this here. I'm going to show you how much work is left. You don't have to show everything to me, really. You really don't have to show me everything. Especially some of those steps sometimes can be prone to mistake. For example, I will take these away. Okay. I would even take these away. Okay. And I could even take these away. But you need to understand your steps. You understand those steps. Okay. So I'll put this piece right next to it. Okay. You don't need to show me this, but you should be aware of it. You should be aware of it. Okay. And so this step, we already have it. And for some of these, you can just, you don't have to show all of it. Okay, let me cut out some stuff. I probably just cut this out. I would just cut these. Really depends, really depends. Okay, you can switch sides. You can switch sides. You can write it that way. You can 30,000. That's just one version of it. If you want to show me more, no problem. Then show me less. Well, make sure you don't show me too much less. Okay, I would say this is the bare bone. This is the minimum. This is the minimum. Okay, and you could be working out all those steps on your scratch paper and stuff. You just show this much. Okay. And then this is the amount for the this is the amount, the principal amount invested 4%. We have to know the other, how much is invested in the other account, because we want to know at each rate how much is invested. Therefore, by this time, you need to answer your question. You need to answer the question. How much would these, you don't need to show these. You don't need to put this there either, okay? These 4 lines, some of you may show 10 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines, 8 lines, whatever it is. This whole piece, okay, this whole piece of solving equation, okay, however many steps you put in there, I would say it's 5 points. And this is not the end of it. This is not the end of it. Okay. And you're going to answer the question. You're going to, this is the time you can answer the question. Okay. You can say, 30,000. There's many different ways of saying this. Okay, you can say 30,000 should be invested. Or you can also say the other way. You say it is recommended. It really meant that Mr. Lopez invest 30,000 in the 4% account and 20,000 in the 10% account. To achieve his investment goal. Something like that. Okay, but the answer part, however you say it, you need to address the 30,000 in the 4% account. You need to address the 20,000 in the 10% account. You need to address these two numbers with adequate English. Okay, so however you phrase it, and make sure it reads right to you. And this part should have 2 points. And then you're done. You're done. So how many total points? How many points total? How many total? You're solving these questions. 5 points, 5 points, 14 points. Right? 4 points. 5, 5, 2, 2. 14 points. So this is an example of the written quiz you're gonna see. Okay, and I already give you the rubrics as how I grade them, how I distribute the points. What is optional, what is not optional. Okay, and of course I'm going to address another method, but before that, I'm going to just make this a little bit smaller so you can see the whole thing. Solution. Okay, specify your variable, 2 points. Table or graph, whatever you do, optional. Equation, 5 points. Adequate steps, okay, of solving the equation, another 5 points. And final answer, 2 points. Solving equation, 5 points. Is that clear, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so for the written quiz this week, this is what I consider the best work. There will be variations as how you solve your equation, which I'm going to go over that with you as well. Okay. But for now, I want you guys to write it down so you know exactly how you get your point, how you may lose your point. And this is pretty much pretty standard. It's not just, I'm not the only person required this. If you see any textbook on similar topics, they all have these components. Okay, specify the variable, set up equation, solving equation, answer the question. These are very standard in these topics. Okay, I'm waiting for you to write it down and make sure you're clear. And we're going to go over another popular way from our student to solve this equation. Okay. So far, so good? Take your time. So this is one version of the work. This is one version of the work. You done?
Yeah.
Did you write it down? Okay, good. So let's look at another version. Okay, let's look at another version. I know I'm not on the popular side, but solving this equation, really there's another way to do it, okay? And from my experience, and I know there's another way to solve the equation. And this happened to be rather popular. Some of you like to use decimal. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. It's okay. Okay. For those people who like to use decimal, typically you would do 0.04x equal plus, right? 10% is 0.1, multiply the rest, which is 50,000 minus x equals to 3,200, right? So this is a multiplication. And then you're going to multiply, you're going to distribute. So you're going to have 0.04x. Are you guys doing it along with me? This might be your favorite way to do it, right? You follow me? So 0.1 times 50,000, and that's going to give you 5,000. Minus, you get 0.1x equals to 3,200. And 0.04x minus 0.01x, you're going to get negative. Okay, you're going to get negative 0.06x equals to 3,200 minus 5,000, which is going to give you negative 1,800. You follow me? And you divide both sides by 0.06. You're going to get the same number. Are we good? Are we good?
Oh, yeah.
Is this your favorite way to do it?
Actually, I like your way better.
Oh, you like way, but the bottom line, I want to tell you, you have options. Okay, and I can tell you there are other ways as well. These are not the only two ways, but one is my favorite way, and one is your, one popular way. And if you like my way, no
I
problem.
have a question.
Yes.
How did you get 0.06x?
It's 0.04x minus 0.1x. These two combines.
And you get okay, never mind.
Yeah. You're going to get a negative because negative 0.01x is subtracting 0.04x, and this is going to give you negative 0.06x. You can see I personally just want to avoid those decimals altogether, right? I'm glad some of you like it. Thank you. Remember, I'm much older than you, and when I was a student, we didn't have a calculator. Okay. So I don't have the habit of using calculator, but it turned out to be a blessing for me because I always have to figure out how I do it without having to go through lengthy calculations. Calculator application. Calculator is a convenience, but it can also be it can also prevent you from thinking how to manipulate those numbers. But for fraction, I would say most of our students are intimidated by fraction. My advice to you is to overcome it. There's nothing more mysterious about it. Okay, fraction is just a fact of life. Okay, so if you've done it this way, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to give you another version of a piece of work down here. Okay, so I'm going to show you another version of it. Okay, everything's pretty much the same. Okay, everything pretty much the same. And you just have to, so I'm going to show you another version. With the popular word. But in between here, instead of using fraction, you use decimal, which is this part. So this is the second version. And there could be so many other versions as well. But this is still the same 5 points. You'll be, it's dedicated for these parts, right? And specify your variable. Table is still optional. And you can use 0.04 if you want. You can use 0.1 here if you want. I mean, you have these options. You have these. These are 2 versions, but the actual version is not limited to 2. Limited to 2. So this will be a typical way I give points. Okay, if this is a 10 points question, okay, I typically 10 points for each quiz. The 14 points for this question will give you 4 points extra credit. That's how you earn your extra credit. So you say, oh, I don't care about that 4 points. I'm just going to do my 10 points, right? No problem. You're going to get your 10 points for sure. So once again, I hope I made myself very clear. Okay. Okay, if you understand this question completely, I would like you to try another one. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to try number 2 in the notes? Alpha 2, number 2. So please try number 2 in alpha 2. This time is still investment problem. Please try for 5 minutes. I'm going to refill my cup. I'll be right back. How are you doing? You done? You have all 4 questions for your homework today in Alpha 2. Okay, and if you like to do more, there's a beta. No, not actually we have all 6 questions. You have all 6 questions. You have all 6 questions. If you want to do more, you can do the beta 2. But beta 2 is not required. The Alpha 2 are required. Okay. Shall we go over together? How are you guys doing? Good?
You said the table was optional, right? Oh,
Right, the table is optional.
okay, thank you.
I don't know what you get. I got these are the numbers I got. Is that what you got? It doesn't matter which way you do it. There's so many ways to do it, but there'll be an interesting thing to see which one you will assume to be the principal X. Okay. If you switch sides, okay, I'm going to give you another version. Suppose I assume X be for 5%, then the equation will be different. The equation will look different.
Yeah.
Right? Do you guys realize that? There's so many ways to do this work. Okay. As far as I can think of, there are 4 different ways, and maybe even 5, even 6 to set up the equation. So your variable must be consistent with your equation. That's another thing I check. If your variable is not consistent with your equation, guess what? You're going to lose all 7 points. In other words, that's a major messed up. That's a major messed up. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
So your equation must be consistent. Okay. This kind of messed up I saw often, but usually it's not a very high percentage among the students. So it's not too much of my concern, but there I saw them. I saw those messed up. Okay. So your equation have to be consistent with your variable. So there are lots of mistakes I've seen in the past. So yes.
I think I did it backwards. I put 5% times X plus 8% instead of 8% times X. I still got the same answer. Does that mean it's correct or?
So you assume X is the amount invested in the 5% account?
Yeah.
No problem.
Oh, okay.
Then your equation should look different from mine.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And I got X equals 500 or 50,000.
Perfect. That's right.
Okay,
So
cool.
You see, you need to be consistent, and I will be checking those consistencies. Okay.
I have a question. So then it doesn't matter which one you plug in first, it will still be the same answer, or?
No, I think that I think who said that the gentleman who just before you, what he did. Okay, I'm going to show you what he did. Okay, presumably. Okay, this is what he did. He assumed X be the amount invested in the 5% account. And so the other one will be the 8%. Do you guys see the difference?
Oh,
Suppose I remove this equation for temporarily. If he assumed X the amount invested in the 5% account, okay, and this equation will be completely wrong. Do you follow me?
yeah.
What's wrong? If you look at the table, right? If this is the 5% and this is the 8%, right? So this should be 5% times X, and this should be 8% times the other principal. Do you follow me? So the equation should be 5%, 8%. So the equation should look like this. Do you follow me? The percentage has to go with the principal that corresponds to it. Okay, do you guys understand what I meant? So the equation will look like this. So this is 5, and this is 8. Okay, and over here, he's going to have 6 to 4, right? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's going to have a -3. And what's the number over here?
100, negative 150.
So it's not going to be 90,000, right? What would that be?
Negative 150.
Yep. And he's going to get a 50,000.
That's what I did earlier.
That's okay.
All right.
That's okay. What I'm trying to say is that there's so many different ways to do it. So as a teacher, how do I judge your work? Can you think from my perspective? Just for a moment. The answer is still the same, but the equation will look different. Do you follow me? The point is that if you assume X is the principal amount invested in the 5% account, then the interest earned will be 5% times X. If you assume X is the interest earned from the 8% account, 8% times X will be the interest amount. You guys follow me? So these are the consistencies I'm looking for. So your assumption of the variable must be consistent with your context. Doesn't matter how you do it, okay? As a teacher, I'm ready to grade 10 different kind of work. Or we have 10 students today in attendance. Maybe each one of you would do it differently. But maybe each one of you is right. You follow me? And if you're right, you will be honored. And I promise you. Okay? So I did not give you every possible way. Okay? So we've seen a couple of ways, but all of these correct work will always be honored. If you have a new way to do it, no problem. Bring them forward. I'll respect that. My point is that I encourage you to try different things. I'm not going to limit you, say, oh, you have to do my way. Otherwise, go highway. You're going to get 0. Never. It's never like that. I will never do that to you. Okay. What I do is I want to encourage you to think and think for yourself. Okay. Do we have any other questions? I'm sure some of you probably want to do the decimal way to solve it. No problem. I have no problem with it. As long as every step you have presented properly, clearly, and you have done the best you can. And of course, even if your best work, you may lose points, 1 or 2 or something like that. But what I'm asking you is that you make sure your work is clear. And how do I read your work? I read your work from left to right, top to bottom. Okay, I read your work left to right, top to bottom. So I think we have had enough examples. And shall we do one more? We still have 15 minutes left. Do you like to do one more?
I would.
Hmm?
I would want to do one more.
That's great. Okay, so let's do
Yeah.
something just slightly different. Okay, let's see how many different questions I give you there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. They're all quite similar. How about you guys choose one? Okay, between 3, 4, 5, 6. We did number 1, we did number 2. I want to give you guys a free hand of choosing one of them from the remaining 4. Just whichever take your fancy, just take it. And for your homework, you have to do all of them all over again. But right now, you can choose any one to do in the class, except 1 and 2. But if you have questions about 1 and 2, feel free to ask me. I have asked you to choose any question, but I think I give you like 5, 10 minutes. No, 5, maybe 7 minutes. I think that's about you. You set up your equation. Maybe some of you already done. I will do one more for you, and this time you are gonna pick the one for me. Would you like me to do that? And of course, you don't have time to finish all of them in class, and after class, you're gonna really organize your work well and getting ready for the to do your homework. On Wednesday, we're gonna do another set of word problem, which is a mixture question. Okay, you mix one kind of liquid with another kind of liquid to condense or dilute drinks, or whatever drink, or lemonade or punch, whatever. Okay, it's a kind of question similar to chemistry questions, but they're actually also similar to what we do today. So pick a question for me.
Method, right? Because it has a different wording.
Which one? Which one are you talking about?
Question 6.
6. To protect against a major loss. Pick that for me. Yeah, this one, the number wise, is a little bit, I would say it needs some special attention because you'd be very careful with the numbers, right? And to protect against a major loss, the financial analyst suggests the following plan for a client who has 50,000 to invest for a year. A risky 12% yield, a safe, a risky 12% yield, and a risky 12% yield, and a safer but a lower 4.5% yield. So these are different wording, yeah. If the client puts some money in each investment and wants to earn $3,700 for $50 in interest at the end of the year, how much should he be invested? So you have two accounts. One is 12%, which is risky, and the other one is 4.5%. Okay, so the solution, you can put it, say, okay, you can say let X be the amount invested in the, it doesn't matter whichever percent you want, 12%, you just need to be consistent, right? Account. Thus, then, right, you can say 50,000 minus X is the amount invested in the 4.5% account. And our equation, right, if you skip the table, you can work on table if you wish, right, is that you have 12%, 12% for the X, right? And the other interest amount is 4.5%, but the principal amount is 50K minus X. Interest, right? So interest plus interest is going to be equal to interest. And the interest targeted is 37.50. And there you go, you got your equation. Right? And then you solve the equation. So let's see what we get for solving the equation. You guys want to solve the equation yourself?
Yes.
All right. Did you get the equation? And you can see there are different ways to set it up, right? The main thing you need to understand that the percentage for a particular principal, when you multiply this percentage with this particular principal, you get the interest. You should not have messed up. You should not have cross them. Okay, if you cross them, then you're in trouble. Right? That's what we meant, that your variable should be consistent with your equation. That's why we want you to specify your variable in that order, and then we will check your equation. I'm just checking some numbers. Okay, so I'm kind of 225. Yeah, 225. That is 3 zeros. Okay, 225. Subtracting that. And, that's gonna be 2, 3, 4, 5. And your x should be equals to 150,000 divided by 7.5. So that should give us a value right there. Okay, you can skip that if you want. And we're almost done. Right? So the answer would be it is
Okay.
recommended that 20,000 is invested in the 12% account and 30,000 is invested in the 4.5% account. That's it. So more money is put in the safer account than the risky one. But these are just different way. What we learn is a method. It's a means to handle a situation like this. Okay. Our time is up, and I have assigned homework for you, and you should expect a quiz today. And just to check your understanding of what we talk about today, and there will be another quiz this week on word problems. Okay, so this week we're gonna finish up the word problems, and then we're gonna move forward. Okay. All right, very good participation, very good job, and I appreciate all of you who have contributed to this process. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Okay, we have Pronto, we have inbox, you have my cell number, and you can text me, all of those things. Okay, just keep on working, keep working on it. Okay, all right. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Professor.